After a night of heavy drinking, the boss went off to relieve himself when a group from the Red Sand camp ambushed him. Being drunk, the boss was quickly defeated, and they even tried to drown him. However, this made him sober up. Now, one of them rushed at him, only to be punched in the face, shattering his teeth. The group still thought the leader of the Five Peaks camp was just a fool, but they were mistaken. Things were about to get serious. The leader of the Red Sand camp came charging in. Even though the boss was unarmed and couldn't use martial arts, the hidden power within him, divine strength, awakened. He picked up a large rock and hurled it, flattening one of the Red Sand camp's underlings. Now the Red Sand leader nervously muttered something about a misunderstanding, but from above, a terrifying figure appeared. "What a coincidence! I didn't expect to witness such an interesting scene here," the figure said. "I thought I'd be watching something exciting in the arena, but instead, I get to see the power of the Five Peaks camp leader." It was none other than the Shadow Demon Lord. Seeing the boss's divine strength only confirmed his suspicion that the camp leader was a member of the demon sect. Without hesitation, he launched an attack. That night, the boss disappeared, and today was the final day of the Green Forest Grand Assembly. The demon sect had started to reveal themselves, charging onto the stage to challenge the 12 demon lords. They aimed to defeat them, tarnish their reputation, and cause internal strife within the Green Forest sect. Meanwhile, the people of the Five Peaks camp were searching for their leader but couldn't find him. All they discovered was the leader of the Red Sand camp. After a gentle interrogation, he confessed that their boss was gravely injured and had lost a lot of blood. Eventually, they found the boss by a stream. Though unconscious, he was still breathing. This enraged the real monster within, for the one who had harmed him was none other than the Ghost Shadow Demon Lord, the top disciple of the Heaven-Splitting Demon Lord. The Ghost Shadow had left a message with the Red Sand leader, saying he was waiting for Gioka in the arena. The old man must have a death wish. At this moment, the young camp leader had returned to the Green Forest Assembly, hoping to clear up misunderstandings about her father, but she was shocked by what she saw. On stage, the 12 demon lords had been defeated by the demon sect. The Green Forest sect's reputation was crumbling. At that moment, an overwhelming murderous aura appeared behind the young camp leader. He stepped onto the stage and challenged them, sending the demon sect members flying with a single move. Then, with a thunderous shout, he called out, "You dog, Ghost Shadow Demon Lord, come out here." His powerful aura stunned everyone. The Ghost Shadow Demon Lord shouted back, claiming that Gioka was a demon sect member hiding within the Green Forest Assembly. At last, they had shown their true colors. Gioka immediately charged onto the stage, attacking the old man. His sword strike made the Ghost Shadow tremble. How could a young man of this age possess such terrifying power? However, he remained confident, having been personally taught the secret Dark Sky Azura Sutra by his master. The Ghost Shadow's aura surged, and he unleashed a powerful technique, the Ghost Shadow Soul Command Sword. No one had ever been able to withstand this strike. He continuously attacked Gioka with his heavenly sword, but it had no effect. As the smoke cleared, Gioka's figure stood as solid as a statue, leaving everyone in shock. Aside from the heaven-splitting demon lord, the Ghost Shadow was considered the strongest in the Green Forest sect. No one but the top masters could withstand that sword. Yet this red-haired brat was terrifyingly powerful. Now, the Ghost Shadow's face turned pale, knowing he would soon face the wrath of a true monster. Gioka unleashed the fourth form of the Nine Heaven Sword technique, the Wind and Fire Cataclysm Wheel. The Ghost Shadow's heavenly sword was sucked into it, causing a massive shockwave that knocked everyone back. The Ghost Shadow's body was immobilized, and Gioka landed a series of rapid punches that sent him flying off the stage. Not finished with his anger, Gioka jumped down and beat the old man until he was flattened. When Gioka was about to finish him off, the heaven-splitting demon lord intervened. At this moment, the people from the Five Peaks camp were rushing to the scene, but the place had already turned into a battlefield. The heaven-splitting demon lord advised Gioka to stop, saying, "This has gone far enough. You should stop now. You know, the bond between a master and disciple is like that of a mother and child. If you want to kill one of my own, you'll have to face me first." Gioka's anger only grew. "You people attacked my family first. Why can't I strike at yours? If you don't get out of my way, don't blame me for being ruthless." Gioka swung his sword, executing the second form of the Nine Heaven Sword technique, Dragon Ascending to the Sky. Meanwhile, the heaven-splitting demon lord charged at him with the Dark Sky Azura Divine Fist. Gioka immediately felt the demon lord's overwhelming power, far greater than Chun-Ji's. He was sent flying, his body crashing into a wall. Even the heaven-splitting demon lord acknowledged that Gioka wasn't part of the demon sect, but he had no idea what this terrifying power was. Jioka charged forward once again, this time unleashing the 8th form of the 9 Heaven Sword technique, 9 Dragons Transformation. His aura descended like a great dragon, striking fear into everyone. The heaven-splitting demon lord also unleashed his full power, his aura behind him resembling a fierce azura as he charged. No one had ever witnessed such a terrifying scene before. The two clashed continuously in mid-air. The heaven-splitting demon lord seemed to be thoroughly enjoying the fight, reminiscing about his younger days when he, too, was wild and reckless. He used his power to force Jioka down to the stage. With a massive crash, the area seemed destroyed. Just as Jioka was about to continue fighting, Old Man Shim brought Boss Bun to the scene. His injuries were no longer life-threatening. Jioka still wanted to kill the Ghost Shadow Demon Lord, but Boss Bun stopped him. That's enough. It's time to go home. The event manager immediately declared the Green Forest Grand Assembly over. Everything had turned into chaos, and Ryoshi, witnessing this for the first time, was in awe. The man who could face her father head-on was not only incredibly powerful but also handsome. She was smitten, ignoring her father's anger as she chased after the handsome man. That night, the Ghost Shadow Demon Lord came to apologize to Boss Bun, explaining that he had misunderstood, thinking they were part of the demon sect. Boss Bun ultimately forgave him, considering it a favor. Meanwhile, Jioka was having a quiet chat with the heaven-splitting Demon Lord. The Demon Lord announced that Jioka would become the chief patrol officer of the Green Forest, but Jioka's face showed clear disinterest. He then produced a silver token, the symbol of the chief patrol officer of the Green Forest, but Jioka pushed it back. Is the old man deaf or just stubborn? Jioka thought. The heaven-splitting Demon Lord refused to back down, using a pair of chopsticks to push the token back toward him. The two continued pushing it back and forth like this. Jioka then brought up what the Dark Wind Panther Lord had said earlier, that if Jioka became the chief patrol officer of the Green Forest, he would no longer be able to be with everyone. That fat guy only knows how to drink and blabber on. I'll make sure he suffers for this. And anyway, if my uncle hadn't told me, I wouldn't have believed it. In the mountain camp, I don't need any chief patrol officers or mountain bandit leaders. The heaven-splitting demon lord, unwilling to give up, tried to use his prestige to coerce him. The two began fighting with their chopsticks, and the silver token flew out, only to be caught by a beautiful woman who gently scolded them. Will you two stop already? You've destroyed the stage, and now you're causing more trouble. And how can two men eat without any wine on the table? That's just not right. The heaven-splitting demon lord immediately snapped back. You want to drink again? What kind of daughter drinks every day? It turned out this beautiful woman was none other than his only daughter. She might have a bit of a drinking habit, but she was kind-hearted and beautiful. She slammed her hand on the table and demanded from Jioka, why did you throw away such a valuable token? Other bandits would kill for it, you know. Jioka, not knowing who she was, looked at her, bewildered by her boldness. The heaven-splitting demon lord chimed in, don't pretend you don't know her. You stayed up all night drinking together. This is my daughter, the little chief of the Green Forest, Suk Ryoshi of the Blackwater Lotus sect. Still, he remarked, compared to inner strength, muscle power is far too weak. This left Ryoshi completely speechless. She wanted nothing more than to punch him for his rude comment. Meanwhile, Jioka's comrades from the mountain camp were shocked to learn that Ryoshi was the heaven-splitting demon lord's only daughter. They were also curious as to why she had disguised herself as a man to get close to them. It's easy to explain, she's just addicted to drinking. The 10th junior sister finally realized that he was wearing the patrol officer badge on his side. Isn't that the badge of the chief patrol officer? Hadn't he said he didn't want to leave the mountain camp or become the chief patrol officer? It turns out that earlier, Ryoshi had explained the position to him. The chief patrol officer must seek out and resolve issues at problematic camps. On the way back to your camp, if anyone tries to provoke or severely injure your camp leader, they will have to fear the authority of the chief patrol officer. This way, your people will be safe. At that moment, Boss Bun burst into a fit of crazed laughter. Our Five Peaks Mountain Camp finally has a chief patrol officer who holds a high position in Green Forest. Is there any greater joy than this? Everyone then started celebrating. Jioka had officially become the chief patrol officer of Green Forest. Truly a good brother of mine. But that imposing title made him a little embarrassed, as if he'd suddenly become a hero. Just then, a woman's voice called out loudly, Jioka. She added, next time we meet, let's drink for 3 days and nights. Why did that sound so much like an addiction? She was a strange woman. Then, the Five Peaks Mountain Camp began their journey back home. Meanwhile, the heaven-splitting demon lord and his daughter were elated because they had found a sharp sword to vanquish the criminals. I thought you just went out to drink, but who knew the little chief of Green Forest was so clever? Ryosi then hugged her father affectionately. Who told you that I'm your precious daughter? At this moment, a messenger was speeding toward the Namgung family. He was in such a hurry that he seemed a little flustered. He said, I hope you can forgive me for intruding, Namgung hero, but I have a request. I respectfully ask for the help of Miss Namgung's strength. The Namgung family head's face immediately grew serious. The Namgung daughter, renowned for her beauty and her ability to captivate people, was known as the Enchanting Heart. Therefore, the Heavenly Ascension sect leader had come directly to the Namgung family. Shouldn't I listen to the sect leader's story? The matter was about the Black Sword Dungcho, a name that had recently risen in the martial world. He was a disciple of the Heavenly Ascension sect. 3 days ago, he left the sect, but shortly after, he disappeared without a trace. Of course, such things were normal, but a strange rumor had surfaced. The Flying Dragon sect, a sect I had never heard of, was said to be assisting the Heavenly Ascension sect. The sect leader was furious when he mentioned them. I've never asked for help from any sect called the Flying Dragon sect, he said. Their appearance coincided with the disappearance of the sect's disciples. This must be connected. The Namgung family head remarked that although his daughter was skilled, this matter seemed too difficult for her. The elderly sect leader desperately pleaded, if you lend a hand to help the Heavenly Ascension sect, we will never forget this favor. Under the sect leader's insistence, the Namgung family head finally agreed. Miss Yun was quickly called in, and the Heavenly Ascension sect leader explained the whole situation to her. The Namgung family head immediately realized the problem. In all honesty, the so-called Flying Dragon sect could either be a new sect or just a fake name to impersonate an orthodox sect. They wanted to find out who was behind this, or at least verify whether the Flying Dragon sect genuinely intended to help the Heavenly Ascension sect. Yun suddenly stood up and left in a puzzling manner, leaving everyone confused. The Namgung family head could only explain that she was preparing to go to the Heavenly Ascension sect. She was a woman of few words, but she handled things efficiently, which made her seem a bit strange. The next day, Yun and her brother headed to the Heavenly Ascension sect, where the mother of the missing disciple was constantly begging them to help find her son. According to the mother, her son had rushed out, skipping breakfast, to investigate the disappearance of a monk 3 days ago. Yun immediately told her elder brother, let's head to the inn nearby first. They wanted to gather information from the innkeeper about the Black Sword. While the elder brother was still speculating, an old man directly exclaimed, that person, is it? He was the one who had asked the question, but the old man, lost in thoughts of women, answered Yun. He mentioned that something had happened that day, turning the inn into ruins. The bald man with the mountain-breaking blade had sought out the Black Sword to cause trouble. Those Heavenly Ascension sect disciples dared to walk in here. I'm only here to investigate the monk's disappearance. I don't want to cause trouble with your blade sect. But every time I see the faces of the Heavenly Ascension sect disciples, it makes me itch. And when it itches, I have to scratch. The two immediately launched into a fierce battle. After exchanging more than a dozen moves, the bald man quickly gained the upper hand. Coincidentally, Gioka and his group were there having dinner. Feeling bored, Boss Bun wagered a half-eaten chicken drumstick, betting that the bald man would win. Suddenly, a gold coin flew in, blocking the bald man's deadly strike. Its force was immense, embedding itself into a pillar. The one who had thrown it was none other than Gioka. I just want to eat in peace. Do you have to be so loud? The innkeeper revealed that the man had claimed to be from the Flying Dragon sect. Wasn't that the sect that the Heavenly Ascension sect leader had mentioned? Could the Black Sword's disappearance be related to this Flying Dragon sect? If we can find out their identity, all the secrets will be unraveled. The innkeeper continued. At that point, the bald man was ticked off. Who are you to interfere in the affairs of our sects? Gioka said nothing, slammed the table, and sent 3 coins flying, knocking him out. By the time the bald man realized he was facing a master, it was already too late. Although he was furious, there was nothing he could do. He could only leave. That battle ended with the Flying Dragon sect mediating, and after that, everyone went their separate ways, so I don't know more. Miss Yun held the golden coin in her hand, silently marveling at how powerful the person who intervened must be to easily end a fight between 2 orthodox masters. But there was something even more important. Huang Yundong unleashed a deadly move against Dungcho despite the tension between the 2 sections. If things escalated, Justice Alliance would step in, making the situation even more complicated. That bald guy had issues. Suddenly, Yun rushed outside, leaving her older brother dumbfounded. She deduced that because Huang Yundong knew that ancient Black Sword wasn't with the Flying Dragon sect, he must have been waiting outside for a chance to follow and kill him. Yun quickly spotted bloodstains in a nearby forest. Her older brother immediately rushed in and dug up the ground, finding the body of the ancient black sword from the Heavenly Ascension sect. If it's true that Huang Yundong killed Dengqiu, then it seems someone was plotting behind the scenes, stirring up conflict between the Heavenly Ascension sect and the Heavenly Blade sect. Moreover, the method of decapitation was identical to an incident 20 years ago, causing her some unease. As expected, the bald man took the ancient black sword's head as a token to join the Wandering Light cult. At Wandering Light cult, they didn't have high expectations for him, but he seemed useful. With such brutality, you certainly have the qualifications to become one of the Thap Dao Ma Bin, the sect leader said. The martial world is indeed a place where the weak are devoured and only the strong survive. It's survival of the fittest, no doubt about it. Meanwhile, the 10 heroes of 5 Peaks were traveling toward the mountain stronghold after passing through Hefi. They were teasing Old Man Shim, asking when he became a member of their stronghold, but suddenly, he was arrested by the Imperial troops. "Today will be your death day, Shim," they said. The soldiers claimed to be from the Wind and Cloud unit under Justice Alliance. "Who would have thought we'd bump into the criminal we missed 5 years ago right here? No need for you all to act, he's already under control." At this moment, Brother Bun had to step in to resolve the issue. "We are from Flying Dragon sect, hailing from Hunan, and this man you're dragging away isn't some demon leader Shinyang Ku. He's just an old hand servant at our sect." Old Shim had to play along with the charade to save his life. The two soldiers began to grow suspicious, never having heard of a sect called Flying Dragon before. However, everyone traveling with them had the clean, righteous aura of a sect, except for the old man, Shim. One of the soldiers remarked, "That old guy must be Shinyang Ku, the great demon of Hunan. I don't know why he's disguising himself and sneaking into a righteous sect, but I'd never mistake that scruffy, beggar-like appearance." When the group heard the description Old Fox, they all burst into hearty laughter. The leader Bun, "Nowadays, people can look the same. It's not that unusual." Everyone in the stronghold insisted that Old Shim was merely a janitor who cleaned up and did chores. He couldn't possibly be a master of any sort. Although Shim felt deeply insulted, he had no choice but to accept the situation. Suddenly, one of the soldiers noticed a scar on Old Shim's wrist. "That's the mark from my sword 5 years ago. Still denying it?" This was serious trouble now. "If you continue to protect this demon, we'll consider you accomplices." The old man's pleading gaze turned toward Gioka, but there was no way he would jeopardize the 5 Peaks stronghold for this. Yet, suddenly, Gioka spoke up. "This is so troublesome. That old guy is indeed just a lowly servant at our Flying Dragon sect. Do you want to push this further?" Gioka unleashed a terrifying power, his immense killing intent freezing the soldiers in their tracks. Only the top 10 masters in the martial world could reach this level. How could a young man like him possess such strength? Despite the confusion, the captain dragged his subordinates away, running as fast as they could. The group could only watch, dumbfounded. What the hell just happened? Though it seemed like a mere coincidence that the 10 heroes of 5 Peaks had run into these soldiers on the road to Hefi, it was a sign that the Justice Alliance, the force that maintains order within the martial world, had officially begun taking action. Meanwhile, the body of the ancient black sword was brought back to the Heavenly Ascension sect. His mother was devastated by his death. The conflict between the Heavenly Ascension sect and the Heavenly Blade sect had officially erupted. "Did you think you'd get away with killing a senior brother of our sect? Today, you'll leave behind Huang Yundong's head," they demanded. When both sides were about to go all out, they were stopped by the Justice League. The case of Huang Yundong after the duel was considered an accident, not a murder, and was finally resolved by the Heavenly Sword sect compensating the Ascending Heaven sect. The decision of the Justice League was the law, even though it was hard to accept. Lady Nam Kung then noticed the mountain-splitting sword. He did not hesitate to reveal the foul and dark demonic aura. It wouldn't be long before the Wandering Light sect appeared in the martial arts world. For now, she needed to return home. The only one who truly understood the Wandering Light sect was her father. At the same time, in Reclining Dragon Manor, Baekmiju attracted great wealth from merchant guilds with his power. They began building an armed family clan, led by Yun Mubik. Additionally, with the revenue from protecting the merchant guilds, the name Reclining Dragon Manor was spreading. But they needed a clan from Green Forest as a sacrifice. Therefore, their target was none other than the recently famous 5 Peaks stronghold. Yun Mudo would lead the merchant convoy through the 5 Peaks stronghold. It was time for those arrogant Green Forest men to learn the strength of Reclining Dragon Manor. At that moment, the men from 5 Peaks stronghold thought they had found a fat target and rushed out, demanding a toll. "I've heard the bandits from 5 Peaks stronghold are rampant. I didn't think you'd be so bold." "I won't give you even half, not even a coin," Mudo said. "You must be from Reclining Dragon Manor, the ones causing trouble for Green Forest lately." Don't think that just because the 10 heroes of 5 peaks aren't here, you can look down on us. Brothers, charge and take them down. With his overwhelming power, Muto confidently rushed forward, defeating all the men from 5 Peaks stronghold. You lot are so weak, and you dare rob people? Muto mocked. Can we go now, you pathetic 5 Peaks stronghold lot? Although frustrated, the young man couldn't do anything. He could only mutter, this time, I can't take your toll, but next time, don't count on it. Muto, full of arrogance, continued, lately, I've been hearing a lot about the great reputation of 5 Peaks stronghold, but it seems it's all just empty rumors. You're nothing impressive, just hollow threats. Meanwhile, the 10 heroes of 5 Peaks stronghold were running through an old temple to take shelter from the rain. So unlucky, they grumbled. We were almost home, and now it's pouring. The stronghold leader sighed, we'll stay here tonight and head out tomorrow. However, the eerie atmosphere made the two girls scared of ghosts. Elder Shim teased them, ghosts? If you live as long as I have, you'll realize humans are scarier. If someone dies in this weather, no one will even know. The old man got smacked for his inappropriate remark. What did I say wrong? If it rains, blood will be washed away. Isn't this the perfect time for murder? He continued, earning more scorn, shut up already. And so what if it's raining? Are you afraid the Justice League will catch us? True to his foul mouth, Gioka suddenly noticed a group approaching. Everyone immediately prepared for battle. The group also barged in for shelter, carrying large sacks that were wriggling. Who are you? They demanded loudly. The second-in-command responded just as fiercely, we should be asking you. We were here first. Where did you come from, and what's with those sacks? Are you thieves? The newcomers retorted, we're not thieves. We're bandits, like you. Don't worry, colleagues. But when it was revealed that the newcomers were kidnappers, the bandit sense of justice kicked in. They couldn't let this slide, so both sides prepared for a fight. The leader of the kidnappers eyed Gioka warily, sensing an air of authority. This guy isn't ordinary, he thought. He asked Gioka for his name, but Gioka retorted, why should I tell you, brat? Hurry up and get over here so I can feed you a bowl of defeat, and then my brothers can go to sleep. This enraged the kidnappers' leader. This snot-nosed brat dares to be so arrogant? The two sides clashed, but the kidnappers were quickly overwhelmed. The stronghold leader struck the kidnapper leader with one blow, injuring him. Elder Shim recognized these people as the ones they had encountered in the forest on the way to the Green Forest tournament. Their martial art style and the fearsome aura they exude are the same, he thought. Back then, we were terrified of losing our lives to them. Have they advanced so much in such a short time? Could it be that the Northern Demon Sword, the top martial artist in Hunan, has been caught up by these younglings? While deep in thought, Elder Shim was struck by a sneak attack, coughing up blood. Gioka couldn't stand idly by any longer. He stomped hard on the ground, splitting the floor in two, his overwhelming power blowing the assassins away. The kidnappers were stunned. What kind of martial art is this? They gasped. You not only kidnapped people but dared to mess with my family? Today, you better prepare yourselves, for I'll show you what a blood-soaked storm truly is. With every punch and kick, Gioka knocked down the kidnappers one by one. These guys are too weak, he scoffed. The leader realized too late how strong Gioka was and ordered his men to retreat, still shouting, you just wait. Running away like dogs and still mouthing off? Unbelievable. Afterward, they opened the large sacks, expecting beautiful women inside, but found a monk instead. Thank you, kind sirs, for saving my life. Lately, many monks have gone missing. Out of concern, we ventured out to investigate and nearly met the same fate. Thanks to the benefactors like you, we are safe and unharmed. By the grace of Buddha, Amitabha. We still don't know why they are kidnapping monks. My brother has recognized those men earlier as the same group we encountered with the 5 Peaks stronghold. The dark aura they emit is unmistakable. If that's true, then it's quite suspicious, isn't it? You should report this to the Justice League. Hearing that name made Elder Shim uneasy. The monk continued, I also hope to spread the word throughout the martial world about the righteousness of our benefactors. May I know your names? Elder Shim quickly interrupted, meeting once can be considered fate, but who knows when we'll meet again. Just pray for our safety, that's all we ask. Who would have thought we'd have the fortune of encountering such honorable people, the monk remarked before both sides bid farewell and departed. The leader of the group, after a moment, turned to Shim and asked, it seems there's been a lot happening in the martial world lately, hasn't there? He was growing suspicious of something. But the most important thing for them now was to return to the stronghold. It's best not to meddle in such affairs. Once we're back at the stronghold, traveling through the mountains will be much easier, don't you think? After attending the Green Forest tournament and training with Gioka, hasn't everyone noticed their strength has increased? Don't get too cocky, he warned. We may be able to handle them better than before, but without Gioka, who knows what could have happened. The leader then turned toward Gioka and asked, "Can you teach me the next technique of the 9 Heavens Wisdom method? It looks like tonight will be a sleepless night." Everyone was excited and highly focused, not wanting to fall behind the others. At the same time, Mu Bek was diligently practicing his sword skills. He felt he was still inexperienced. Moreover, training never ends, he needed to maintain both his spirit and body. His internal energy was nowhere near the level of the elders of the 7 factions of the Justice Sect. If Reclining Dragon Manor kept provoking Green Forest under his mother's orders, eventually their enemies would come for them. They're just ordinary mountain bandits. "Why are you so worried?" someone asked. "We can't underestimate Green Forest. There must be a reason their name stands alongside the orthodox martial arts sects," Mu Bek replied. "Sung Bek, draw your sword. We'll train together all night." He thought about a bandit skilled with the sword from 5 Peaks Stronghold who had defeated an elder of Wudong. If that rumor is true, my strength right now wouldn't be enough to face him. He didn't realize that person was Gioka, his half-brother. The next morning, everyone finally returned to 5 Peaks Stronghold. The stronghold leader's safe return meant smoother travels in the future. But this puzzled Bun, the leader. "It's time for us to take our revenge." 2 months later, some of the men from the stronghold challenged the 8th brother to a ranking match. "If anyone gets hurt, I won't be responsible," the challenger taunted. "Who's going to get hurt? You're the one who's going to pay the price." "Get ready," the 8th brother replied. "If I beat you in this ranking match, everyone will know my name as one of the 10 heroes of 5 Peaks Stronghold." With that, the challenger charged forward with great momentum but was quickly sent flying with a single punch. Even his sword was broken. He stammered in disbelief, "My Hell Blade. Do you know how valuable it is? Stop whining about your Hell Blade and train more," the 8th brother mocked. The group burst into laughter, as the weak tend to talk the most. The defeated man stood there dumbfounded, unable to comprehend. Moreover, 9th sister and he seemed to be very close. "It truly breaks my heart. Ever since returning from the Green Forest tournament, neither the 10 great heroes nor the stronghold leader have gone up the mountain. They train every day. This stronghold no longer feels like a stronghold. When the elders and the 10 great heroes of 5 Peaks left, no one even mentioned what Reclining Dragon Manor from Luoyang had done to us. They want Leader Bun to take revenge for them." But when they spoke to the leader about this, he was quite indifferent. "Let a few people pass through the mountains, it doesn't affect our livelihood," he said. "Don't make a big deal out of it. Let them go." They were so engrossed in their training that their subordinates were at a loss. "You are the leader of a stronghold, how can you react like that? There are so many people at 5 Peaks Stronghold, if this continues, we will all starve." They even told the old white-haired man to go solo against Gioka for a promotion. "Are you trying to get me killed? Is Gioka that strong? Challenging him would only lead to me getting destroyed." As a result, Elder Shim gave him a good beating. "If you have time to spout nonsense here, it's better you do something useful." He still didn't understand why the elder supported Gioka and Leader Bun, while no one seemed to care about the state of 5 Peaks Stronghold. He probably hasn't seen Gioka's strength after the ranking match, which is why he's speaking such nonsense. The 10 great heroes of 5 Peaks, trained by that monster, must have improved at an incredible rate. Indeed, after returning to 5 Peaks Stronghold, they all committed themselves to training. They have progressed significantly in a short period. Even Elder Shim can no longer defeat Leader Bun in a fight. People began to argue about avenging Reclining Dragon Manor, but they were stopped by the leader. 10th sister bluntly said that she no longer wanted to stay on the mountain. Both 9th sister and brother Cheol-san agreed with Sobek. They didn't want to be bandits anymore. "How do you expect to survive in this harsh world?" someone asked. "If you leave the stronghold, you'll face extreme hardship." "There's no helping it," she replied. "The 3 of us were never suited for this bandit life in the first place. Rather than robbing people, we prefer upholding justice. Even though we only pretended to be part of the Orthodox sect, after helping so many people on the way to the Green Forest tournament, I've thought a lot. In the past, I didn't have the strength to protect myself, but now that I do, it's different." 3rd brother and 4th brother still wanted to go up the mountain and rob, so Leader Bun gave them control of the stronghold and announced he would step down. This shocked everyone. "Are you stepping down as the leader?" they asked. "What are you saying? Didn't I tell you before?" Bun replied. "I left my wife and children behind because of an injustice. Back then, I left because I thought it was the only way to protect my family. But now, so many years have passed, and it's time for me to return. I have some worries," Bun admitted, "but I've been through hardships with my brothers, and we even earned the title of Green Forest Champion. That's the pride of my life. Now that the stronghold is stable, I want to go back to my family. Second brother, although he didn't have a family, decided to follow Bun back to Kaifeng, as they had long been like brothers. This left everyone dumbfounded. Aren't we all like brothers? How can you two just make plans for yourselves like that? Someone asked. And besides, doesn't everyone have their dreams? So Beck wanted to open a tea house. Chaein wanted to open an inn, and of course, Cheol-san would help her manage it. His dream was simple, to become the strongest innkeeper in the martial world. Moreover, they realized that training was more beneficial than banditry, and they would grow stronger day by day. However, the disbanding of the 10 great heroes left them all feeling a bit sad. After all, they had gone through life and death situations together for a long time. That's right. I used to think we'd all remain bandits until the day we died, one of them remarked. But in the end, no matter where we go, we'll always be brothers. If any of us encounters trouble, we must help each other, even if it costs us our lives. Suddenly, one of the subordinates rushed in with urgent news. It turned out that Elder Shim had been begging Gioka to teach him martial arts so he could keep up with everyone, but Gioka refused. Don't cause trouble, just live the way you have been living, Gioka said. I've lived your whole life without remorse, despite beating, robbing, and killing people. To me, martial arts have only been a tool to oppress the weak. But after you destroyed my arrogance and I saw the other members of the stronghold using martial arts in the right way, I realized that martial arts can be used to protect others. It has value and beauty greater than anything else. I've grown curious about this new martial world. Gioka replied, are you finding it difficult to ask me to teach you martial arts? But the 9-heaven sword technique I've practiced is completely different from the demonic arts you've trained in. If you make a mistake, you'll fall into madness. Even so, Elder Shim was determined, and willing to risk his life. It turned out that the urgent news was about Gioka and Elder Shim training together. The two of them climbed the mountain, searching for a suitable spot to begin training. To master the 9 Heavens Wisdom Sword, one must start from the most basic level, which is the 9 Sun Sutra of the 9 Heavens Maiden. To practice the 9 Heavens Mystic Maiden technique, one must eliminate all distracting thoughts and focus the mind. Gioka also discovered that Elder Shim had a remarkable talent. He had memorized the 300-word mantra right from the beginning, while the other brothers had only memorized 100 words of the 9 Sun Sutra. He could very well become 3 times stronger than them. The next morning, when Gioka woke up, he was taken aback. Elder Shim hadn't slept all night, he had been fully immersed in practicing the 9 Heavens 9 Swords. The more he recited the mantra, the clearer his mind became, to the point where he didn't even notice the sunrise. Now, he was coughing up blood uncontrollably. He had suffered from a deviation in his cultivation due to a conflict with the demonic arts he had practiced in the past. They were wreaking havoc within his body. Gioka tried to help him regulate his internal energy, but it was of no use. If this continued, Elder Shim wouldn't survive. Gioka had to take him back to the stronghold immediately. But the distance from the mountaintop was too far, so Gioka frantically sped up, hoping to get him back to the stronghold for treatment as quickly as possible. As long as Elder Shim could still speak, Gioka urged him to hold on tightly, saying they would be down the mountain soon. When they finally reached the doctor, Elder Shim's meridians had been severely damaged. Moreover, due to his age, recovery would be very difficult. Even if he regained his health, there would still be lasting effects. If he exerted himself too much or moved too quickly, it could endanger his life. Gioka was deeply tormented for teaching Elder Shim the 9 Heavens 9 Swords. Elder Shim had spent his whole life training, and now he couldn't recover. For a martial artist, this was no different from death. Some time passed, and Elder Shim's condition improved somewhat. Gioka occasionally visited him, but there was nothing more he could do. Elder Shim now looked like an old man nearing the end of his life. The next day, Elder Shim was beaten by a group of people venting their anger for the time he had humiliated them years ago. Being unable to stand up after their beating seemed to confirm that his martial arts had indeed been crippled. A notorious figure from Hunan had fallen into this pitiful state. What's the point of keeping a useless person like him in the stronghold, wasting food? Just leave. Suddenly, Gioka appeared, scaring them off. Elder Shim's face was battered, but he didn't cry out in pain. His heartache was 100 times worse. For the first time, he felt helpless, just standing there while others beat him. I should have listened to you sooner, he thought to himself. Come with me, I have something to discuss, Gioka said. Meanwhile, over at Reclining Dragon Manor, there was a meeting with Yang Clan Manor. After some discussion, Hero Yang held Mu Baek in high regard. Indeed, he's a man of both literary and martial talents, with nothing to criticize. Though still young, he's already famous for his exceptional swordsmanship, elevating the once unknown Reclining Dragon Manor to a renowned martial family in Luoyang. Only someone like him is worthy of my sister, Lai Hua, he added. But there is one concern. My son still has some reservations. Madame Badak is currently in charge of Reclining Dragon Manor, and in her quest to expand its influence, she has caused quite a bit of controversy. If the manor leader gets married, won't that naturally resolve things? Once there's a daughter-in-law, she won't have the same power anymore. Meanwhile, Madame Badak was overjoyed because she had not only found a beautiful daughter-in-law but also forged ties with a powerful family like the Yang clan manor. Yet, when she looked at Mubek, he didn't seem happy at all. The wedding would proceed smoothly, and from then on, Reclining Dragon Manor would be firmly established. "Why do you look so disheartened?" she asked. But Mubek's expression had become gloomy because she no longer cared about his son's opinion. "Just do as mother says," he replied before leaving. His younger brother then mentioned that the female hero Xianju, who had recently gained fame throughout Chang'an, had also come up. Due to the chaos caused by Green Forest, many bad things were happening, robbery and murder were occurring everywhere. Luoyang was no different. Thieves who looked exactly like others threatened people, and if their threats didn't work, they resorted to violence. Recently, many rogue thugs have been stirring up trouble, affecting innocent civilians, and even officials were too scared to intervene. Merchants found themselves in a dilemma, with nowhere to turn for support. At that moment, a red-haired girl appeared, wielding the Nine Heavens Wisdom Sword, effortlessly defeating them. She was none other than the fourth member of the 5 heroes of Luoyang, Yun Xiaoju. The girl, with her straightforward and upright personality, taunted them, telling them if they wanted to fight, they should stop talking and start acting. The gang immediately charged at her in unison. A large man carrying a broadsword rushed forward but quickly found himself joining the ranks of those defeated by Yanghua, the great hero. The one who stepped in was none other than the red-haired girl's senior brother, the leader of the 5 heroes of Luoyang, Huang Dongyip of the 8 Immortal sect. 2 more men from the 5 heroes arrived to assist. The 5 heroes of Luoyang consisted of the second brother, O Yung-san of the Great Garden sect, and the third brother, Sun Sankuk of the 7 Yang sect. With their overwhelming strength, they easily defeated the gang of thugs. Yun Xiaoju's martial skills were both dazzling and powerful, leaving everyone in awe of her fiery charge. Because of this, she was regarded as one of the top figures in Luoyang. Upon hearing this, she was infuriated. "That girl isn't preparing for the wedding and is instead out there playing the hero," she fumed, then started scolding. "You knew about this and didn't stop her?" He quickly tried to explain. The cause was the 5th member of the 5 heroes of Luoyang, the one who made the name 5 Heroes of Luoyang famous throughout Chang'an. She hails from the Righteous Heaven sect, one of the 7 factions of the Righteous sect, and the 3rd daughter of the sect leader Li Yonik. Her status is no small matter. She is the granddaughter of the 10 great masters of the world, the Righteous Heaven Sword Master Li Yuezhang. So, mother, if we want to expand our influence, what better way than to establish friendly ties with the Righteous Heaven sect? However, her expression grew more serious. "You're the older brother and you don't know? Her troublemaking nature is what will strain our relationship with the Righteous Heaven sect. Don't you understand? Go find her and bring her back to me." At the same time, over at 5 Peaks Mountain Stronghold, Elder Shim was sitting with Jioka, confiding in him. He was having difficulty breathing and could no longer circulate his internal energy. "Do you remember the last line of the True Sutra? When the golden flower blooms, the carp becomes a dragon. Lord Chunji told me this once," Elder Shim recalled. Suddenly, he realized, could it be bone transformation and rebirth? There's no other way. The other brothers only memorized 100 characters out of the 900 characters of the 9 Heavens True Sutra. That's the maximum they could learn. But you memorized 300 characters in a short time. Your body couldn't possibly handle it. So if you can just regulate internal energy, you might become 3 times stronger than you are now. Upon hearing this, Elder Shim was dumbfounded. I could regain my internal energy and be 3 times stronger at that? But he added bitterly, if I die before I regain my martial arts, then it'll all be for nothing. After watching Jioka practice his blade technique many times, Elder Shim realized something. Your martial art is swordsmanship, not blade technique. You don't even know the difference between the two, do you? Elder Shim explained to him that blade and sword techniques are entirely different. If you're using a blade to practice sword techniques, its power will be halved. Jioka then revealed that when he first joined the stronghold, no one used swords as weapons. This was also the first gift my senior brother gave me, and I couldn't just throw it away, so I've been using it ever since. Even Elder Shim was shocked, thinking, if you abandon the blade and use a sword, how powerful could you possibly become? Meanwhile, at Qing Mountain Taoist Temple in Yeyang, the 5 heroes of Luoyang gathered as 5 disciples of the righteous sects in Luoyang, determined to walk the path of the martial world. Of course, upon hearing this news, the Madam of Reclining Dragon Manor became even more furious. Meanwhile, the girl wasn't worried at all and even sarcastically remarked, "Isn't wandering the martial world better than me, the daughter of the righteous heaven sect, marrying a stranger according to my father's will? I don't want to marry someone I've never even seen. Instead, I'll fulfill my duty as a descendant of a martial family." Neither side was willing to give in. Their current target was Red Peak Stronghold, located on Flat Mountain, home to the infamous Demon King's Pavilion and the notorious Slaughtering Blade, which had caused many grievances. They decided to follow a merchant caravan to avoid alerting the stronghold. And so, these young and inexperienced children of prominent families set out on a journey of righteousness, aiming at the bandit strongholds of Green Forest, one of which was 5 Peaks Stronghold. Naturally, our Gioka wasn't going to be afraid of those reckless youths. At the same time, in the headquarters of the Righteous Alliance, the leader, Storm Taoist Zhang Kangho, and the chief strategist, Divine Mechanism Priest Jaket Sungun, were discussing the matter of the Yuming sect. The one who saved the merchant caravan's daughter that day was from the Flying Dragon sect, but despite thorough investigation, they couldn't find any trace of the sect. According to surviving witnesses, the Dark Force squad was annihilated thanks to a young swordsman. This left the Alliance leader completely shocked. A young swordsman who could annihilate the Dark Force squad? How is that possible? If this is true, then that person's strength could even rival the 10 Great Masters. He continued, in fact, his power may be comparable to that person. 20 years ago, the Righteous Heaven Alliance achieved a resounding victory in the war against the Yuming sect, thanks to the bravery of the Moonslaying Swordsman, Yun Muriong, and the Sword King Nam Gungbeek. The Righteous Heaven Alliance had 4 elite special squads, warriors capable of wiping out a small sect in the blink of an eye. Yet, they mysteriously disappeared when they encountered the Dark Force squad of the Yuming sect. This made the Alliance leader recall the Moonslaying Swordsman from back then. Moreover, another person was involved. According to strategist Gungbeek, in Hunan alone, hundreds of monks and Taoist priests had gone missing. Similar incidents were happening in other areas as well. Could they truly be conducting human sacrifices for offerings? They aimed to achieve supernatural powers beyond normal martial arts. The real threat was that there were more than just 1 or 2 masters with bizarre abilities in the Yuming sect. If all this time they've continued with human sacrifices, the headless corpse recently discovered in Lezhou is likely tied to the Yuming sect's congregation being nearby. Conveniently, the Righteous Spirit Squad is currently at the Righteous Heaven sect, and now the Righteous Heaven Alliance has finally decided to act. Meanwhile, in the 700 Hands Demon Clan, the Lord of Radiant Manor, Chok Jin Kyung, known as the Chaotic World Sword Demon and the Master of Galaxy Manor, was furious. "Why are you talking about trivial matters like this? It's ruining my drinking mood. Even if they sacrifice 1,000 people, it still won't turn them into the 1,000 Hands Demon King. Only the sect master knows the invocation text for summoning the 1,000 Hands Demon King." Suddenly, someone rushed in to report, "Big news. The martial artists from Luoyang and the Righteous Heaven Alliance are scouring the area to find us. It seems they've finally caught our scent." Chok Jin Kyung smirked. "There's no need to hide anymore. I wonder how many fools from the Righteous Heaven Alliance will come here to meet their demise." In the night sky, 2 blood moons suddenly appeared, a phenomenon that only occurred when the fate of the nation was about to be divided. The young lady immediately realized her father was in danger and, along with her elder brother, hurried home. At the same time, in Huguang City, Mount Wudang, Lord Chun Ji was performing a divination, which resulted in the most ominous sign, great misfortune. In the past 20 years, he had never drawn this sign. Could it be that the world is about to face a great calamity? Even the heaven-breaking demon lord sighed, "This is surely a sign of impending disaster." The sky was blood red, just like 20 years ago. By the banks of the Yunhe River, the Yuming sect was slaughtering members of the martial sections. A brutal massacre was unfolding. At the same time, the Namgung clan was attacked. The ominous star in the sky unsettled the clan leader. Unexpectedly, a guest arrived. "You dare step into this place?" A woman's voice echoed. Her presence exuded terrifying energy, showing no fear in the face of the enemy. But sometimes, that confidence leads to devastating failure. It wasn't the mother of Mount Shan, the old fox spirit, was it? The Namgung clan and the first tribe of Mount Shan had no enmity. Why had she shown her face here? "Now that you're here, don't expect to leave." A malicious figure appeared, none other than Moon River Fairy. Upon seeing her, the Sword King was startled. "Wasn't she killed by me and my junior brother years ago?" She laughed wickedly. Of course, I've returned from hell to settle the score from 20 years ago. I will repay every humiliation in full. She unleashed a terrifying energy, like a massive serpent attacking the Namgung clan master. The clash of their sword techniques caused a huge shockwave, throwing everyone back. Meanwhile, the Righteous Heaven Alliance, the Seven Factions, and the Green Forest sect were slowly discovering traces of the Yuming sect, each preparing for the upcoming battle. At the same time, at Eight Peaks Mountain, the Red Sand Stronghold was blocking the caravan that the 5 heroes of Luoyang were escorting. Destiny would soon bring the right people together. Back at 5 Peaks Mountain Stronghold, no one knew what was going on. Why had the blood-red sky appeared? Elder Shim explained, this happened 20 years ago as well when a terrible calamity from the Yuming sect befell us. Luckily, the Moonslaying Swordsman and the Sword King joined forces to prevent more deaths than there were survivors. It was a fierce battle that nearly wiped out entire sections. The Yuming sect, aren't they the ones we encountered during the Green Forest tournament? Someone asked. They are ruthless, sacrificing countless lives to gain evil powers. But now, the Moonslaying Swordsman is dead, and the Sword King is old. Sooner or later, the martial world will face another catastrophe, with rivers of blood flowing. But no matter what, the people weren't worried. Isn't Gioka here to carry the sky for us? As long as 5 Peaks Mountain Stronghold stands united, we can overcome anything. Gioka declared that he would protect everyone and that no one, whether from the Righteous sects or the Yuming sect, would lay a finger on them. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of the story. Thank you all for following along until now. Peace.